Hello, you guys. Welcome back to another video slash episode on this podcast slash YouTube channel. Yes, I am back in the next podcast episode with the same black tank top on because it's getting hot in California, and this is my relaxation shirt. So let's move on to something more important. Give it up for my first braid out as a dreadhead. Y'all, I love it. Like, it's almost giving braid out on natural hair before you separate it, but then it's still giving locks. And then it's just follow my TikTok or Instagram. I posted lots of content, but I'm just so excited, y'all. I love the locked life. 20 of my other black queens on here thinking, I don't know, should I? I'm 6 months as if when this video goes up, and I love it. I love it. But okay, enough about my hair. That's not what we're here to talk about. As you guys know, I talk a lot. I have a lot to say. But I take a lot of inspiration when I'm by myself is when I feel most creative, when I take that time, but also seeking creativity through other places. TikTok and other creators who are similar. This one girl's video came across my For You page and it hit. It was like a little slideshow. It was like in my 30s, something I would tell my 20-year-old self. And her first one, she got me with the first one. With the first one, it's something that I've like had in my mind forever, but she really put my thoughts into words. She said, my first thing I would tell myself is give up on people faster. Ooh, that one hit. That one hit. Like, I feel like that is not something that you hear a lot. First of all, as someone born and raised in America, you feel like you never want to hear the words give up. If you grew up in the American school system, it's never give up. Never give up on your dreams. Da, da, da. Like they preach all this stuff like there's not a bunch of factors and the ways people act and the ways these systems are set up, which is why so many people give up. But it's never give up since kindergarten. I get it's supposed to be a positive message, but we especially do not hear not to give up on people. I feel like, especially, I love that my generation, shout out to anybody who hates Gen Z from a 22-year-old woman. Oh my God, Gen Z, they're so woke. They always got something to say about we can't make jokes anymore. Hell yeah. I love this generation. I love that I can background check a man on Instagram. Um, I like that I'm black and a woman and I have rights. Like I'm living my ancestors' dreams. I love having the internet. Yes, Gen Z absolutely. But I think in the generations that raised us, like before Gen Z, our parents, stuff like that, giving up on people is like the opposite of I feel like what people tend to preach. You know, unfortunately, the generations before us were took a lot more than the women today do with all the misogyny and there was different reasons, why you had to stay with men. Women couldn't even have their own bank account. They couldn't even do certain things. Like, a lot of women were in situations where it was like either deal with this or have nothing. Like, and then we also have this never give up, never give up, never give up that you guys have heard me talk about on my channel time and time again when it comes to family. Family first, especially my community. Family first, family over everything. Your family is going to be the one who got you. Don't ever give up on family. You guys can always work through it. Again, I love that Gen Z is clocking it. No, we can't. I can give up and block you and never talk to you again if I want to or not. What did Kendrick say? he said, bitch, I cut my granny off if she don't see it how I see it. Those are just two examples. But anyway, I feel like this is just a message that we do not hear a lot, which again, I think I am very thankful for my generation that I think we're finding the balance between this, right? We're realizing, oh, wait a minute, we don't got to deal with a thing we don't want to, but we're also more with the empathy of like, people go through things, people grow up different than us. People were raised in different environments than us. People process, communicate way different based on their upbringing. Like, it's just, there's so many levels. But I feel like back then, in the older generations, that was like, excuse. That's why people are like that. Just be patient with them. Just blah, blah, blah. And I love that I feel like my generation is done with that. But again, having balance, because I feel like we understand that on a deeper level, but we also understand that everybody has that. So what makes you special or worth the wait if you're not trying to fix it? Okay, clock it. Give up on people faster is something that I feel so blessed that I feel like I learned at an early age. Like, I'm very young, I'm 22. I got out of my third serious relationship, third time in love in February. And if you guys aren't new here, in my adult relationships, adult, like being legal out of high school, I was class of 2020, so it's been 5 years for me. I know. My first relationship out of high school, whole year. What do I think when I look back at that? Way too long. Way too long from me and from him. One of those situations where it's like first love, so many firsts. Both of us didn't know what to do with a lot of our emotions, how to communicate with what we want. It was just way too long when it could have ended earlier, right? Second relationship. My second relationship as an adult was 19 to 20. Abusive, right? First abusive situation like that. So draining. Mental health was terrible. Didn't know how to talk to anyone. Obviously, just from using those describing words, being with someone like that for a year, when I probably started seeing the signs 4 months in, I probably started getting abused like 6 months in, but yet the relationship was a year. Way too long. And then I look back at this third one. This third one was a cool 4 months, right? Sprouted around October, ended by February. And I'm like, okay, was it hurtful? Yes. Was I in love? Yes. Was I the one who pulled the last string? Yes. And I'm so proud of myself for that because when I look back at my first two relationships, fresh out, first one was like I was hanging on, I was gripping on. The first lovers, they can relate, gripping on to something that I just knew it was not, but it was like first love. What do you mean we're not gonna be together forever? He had to break it off. I was very upset when it happened for a number of reasons. Not giving this man excuses, but he did that because I did not deserve to be tortured and in a relationship with someone who didn't really want me for over a year. Second relationship, like I said, was a year. I was the one who broke it off, but still way too long. But I was still very proud of myself for leaving that situation, even though it was a bit too long, and the people around me would agree. But this past one, it's like every relationship I'm thankful for, despite what I left with. I'm not one of those people like, oh, I'm so glad my trauma happened for a reason. I'm not a religious person that's going to be like, it was all a part. No, that's not me. So when I say this in the sense, I'm not saying I'm thankful for the bad things or whatever, but I'm thankful for the growth that being in love in every relationship has taught me. I think that having that time to learn what love is, how my self worth comes in, like all these things, and like find that balance through my late teens, early 20s. Because I don't know if you guys know this, I had one boyfriend in high school, senior year, 3 months, but I'd say I feel like I was very sheltered. Like I realize that sometimes because I was a very innocent goody two shoes all my primary school, like all elementary, middle, and high school. I didn't really like explore with dating like that. So I was like, that's actually crazy because I'm like a lot of these emotions and like, oh my God, first heartbreak, like for real, that hurt me that I was attached to. I was like, people be going through that in high school and stuff to show up to school the next day and see them in class. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. And it's like, it's weird, like kind of having to learn it earlier. I mean, later, but I would never trade my journey for anything. But anyway, it's like the growth that I gained every time has just made me really thankful for who I've become. So when I look back again, because I grow more and more and my brain develops more and more the more I deal with terrible men. When I look back at my last one, again, I'm like, even though it's only 4 months, too long. Too long. Too long, but you know, when you're manipulated and someone wants to tell you how their life is when they're really in and guilt trip you and all that, it's very hard. It's very hard. But I'm like, even though I still think a little bit too long, girl, because what was that? I'm so proud of myself for, again, quote unquote, giving up. I think when it was time, and much earlier than I have in the previous ones. Because don't get me wrong, I sound like such a Scorpio right now because I am. I think that it is so great, and I'm not regretful for anyone I've ever loved before. I think it's so great to like be there for people who needed you, or just learn about people, because like I said, even though Gen Z, I love that we're getting more and more cutthroat and not dealing with anything we don't want to, no matter what it is. Like, we also have the balance. So I'm glad I was able, I'm like, every relationship I was able to learn my limits, because nobody's gonna be perfect. I did stuff that hurt other people before. I did stuff that annoyed people or confused people. Like, it's always like a two-person process. But it's like with every relationship, I learned more and more. Oh, what is empathetic? What is me having empathy, me having compassion, me being like, this could be worked on. We could work on this. This is temporary. People go through phases, highs and lows. And what is not worth waiting on, and what is, yeah, this is not it, and I give up. I give up because, again, like growing up in America, I feel like giving up has such a negative connotation, but I love the way that the lady whose TikTok popped up on my thing explained it. Because to me, giving up on people is literally liberation. I feel like when you're a young girl in your 20s. Because again, it dates back to the women who raised us or the generations before, as like this is seen as such like a negative thing, because of the misogyny. Women aren't supposed to give up on the men. They're supposed to be the nurturers, the people who carry the weight, the people who carry all the things, because they're doing this and they're doing that. And now, like I said, Gen Z, we're in a more equal space, we're in a more encouraging mental health space, and you realize, like, actually, no, I don't. Or at least I don't have to carry all that for someone who doesn't have the space to carry and work on things for me. I think that this whole like don't give up, stick with, be patient with people, that came from generations before, was it's always telling this to the women, why aren't you telling that to that man? Oh, but you don't want to tell it to, fuck y'all. So let me just say, as mean as it sounds, because I don't care, this is my new favorite thing. This is my new favorite thing because, like I said, yes, people are not perfect. Have compassion, have empathy for the way people were brought up, the things they go through, the trauma that is the reasons these things come out this way. But also, that's like something I learned so hard in the last one. Like, I feel like, kind of sounds bad. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just, but it was almost like before I cut the last straw, it was like, I'm here just because I love this person and this, and this, and I don't want them to carry that alone. And again, who am I sounding like? Who am I sounding like? The women from the other generations. Because, like I said, which is cool and all, but again, this is a man where it's like, oh, I want to carry this for him. I want to be there for him. He doesn't have anyone else. But when but when I have a request or something makes me feel uncomfortable, or I need to talk about something that's making me sad, it's crickets. It's why my life is so terrible. What do you even have to be sad about? I'm sorry, I'm going through so much. I just don't even have the. Then, like I said, it was only 4 months. Okay, nigga, then why did you start dating me in such a terrible place? Whose problem is that? Whose problem is that? If you guys, if you guys keep with my content, you know. Like, it's just like at this point in my life, I don't care. I don't care. If you are a subscriber, you've come from other videos, you know me, this space is not new. Or just in general, like I said, everyone has their own stuff. Everyone has their own stuff. Notice how I said I was single from, my last relationship before this one was 19 to 20. It was abusive. That was the first time I've ever really experienced abuse in my life. I came, like I said, from a very sheltered home, a happy home, and all that. So I had a really like great childhood, and I feel like I didn't really have many issues growing up or anything. Everything came after high school when you start dating men. And so like I went through that. I went through my first abusive relationship. It was abusive emotionally and sexually. I went single for almost 2 years after that, because it ended when I was 20. I started talking to my last relationship like literally weeks before I turned 22, right? Um, It was bad. It was bad. Like, I like this is why I really appreciate my 1,000 people. And just because I love what I do, my channel so much, I started making videos in the midst of that time of being super anxious, going to therapy, trying to work this out and just like feel okay. I was feeling insane every day, trying to recover from sexual abuse and all that. So it's like everybody has their stuff. You know how hard it was to lean back into intimacy, lean back into trust, lean back into all these things after almost being by myself for 2 years after going through that type of abuse. And what? I could still articulate myself. I could still communicate my boundaries. I could still not be reactive and have emotional regulation. Because what? I worked on that for those past 2. So it's like if you want to come in here and act like that and act all crazy because of your trauma, I don't care. I don't care. That's literally how I look back at my last relationship. Okay, I have trauma too, and I deal with it. And I deal with it, nigga. Little nigga. So I wholeheartedly agree with where I drew inspiration from to anyone watching this. Give up on people. Give up on people. Because literally, I hear like, give up on people. We know this is a negative term when it comes to women, but especially it's like normally when it comes to your dreams. Never give up on your dreams. Keep going. You never. Exactly. Like, I'm really learning the older I get, even though, yes, I'm still open to love. I would still love all these things. Yes, give up on that man. Like, life is too short, especially to my women, but to anyone, life is too short to be dealing with something you literally don't have to deal with. Like, you ever sit around and wonder, why won't this man do this? And why won't he do this after I've asked him a million times? Get a new one. No, blame. I mean, eventually, but literally, that's literally how I felt when I pulled the last string on my last situation. I was just like, wait, I really do not have to deal with his crazy ass if I don't want to. And I don't know why I forgot about that for 4 months. Like, I felt so happy, and I'm so happy. Like, when I'm by myself, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I don't have to worry about someone taking out their terrible life on me and being super reactive and always having a problem. And how is that my problem? Like, it's great. It's amazing. And yes, as always, again and again and again, I know it is not that simple, especially when you're in love. Like, imagine me telling myself this in my first love relationship. Girl, you know you really don't have to deal with him if you don't have to. I would look at you like you're insane. Yeah, I know that, but he's my first love and we're going to be together forever. And so I get it. I get it. This is just from a perspective of someone who's been in love a couple times, who's getting older, and is just really realizing that. I just hope women at any point in their life really realize this, because it's like you truly have the power. You truly have the power. That's what I always say. Like, when it comes to talking to new people or new things, how a lot of women are apprehensive. I literally made a little a little short on this the other day on my Instagram, where I was talking about I can't wait till women discover free will, because we always talk about, like in the talking stage, it's like they're not yours yet. You can't expect or ask them of anything. Yeah, obviously, but I'm like, my type of man is the person who I can expect and ask them of something, and if I can't, goodbye. Like, what? Like, what do you mean? Of course, yes. If I see if I see something and I'm like, is this how you are? This makes me uncomfortable. I seen this. I didn't like this. It's almost like you just bring it up. Like, cuz again, I can't tell you what to do. Like, I can't tell you what to do, but it's all in the reaction. Of course, the person 100% has a chance to be like, well, we're not together, whatever, so blah blah, and I'm not gonna change that. Cool. That's literally all in my power to change the man. Cause what? That's what I'm saying. My type is a person where it's like, this bothered me, whatever, and they're like, oh, noted. Won't do that. Basic respect for me, no matter what section of the relationship we're in. That's my type. Free will, free will, free will. And not like the religious people be saying up in my comments. Free will in the sense that I can't make anybody else do something, but I can control what I do and what I put up with. And you always have that power, ladies. Always. No matter if you're in a 2-year relationship, if you're in a 10-year relationship, if you're married, if you guys have kids. Um, that's it. And I really sometimes even feel bad saying this because I feel like so many people hate and like call women stupid, who have been in relationships for so long and there's so much and they're just like, how did they even let it get this far? How did they let it get to kids? Yada, yada, yada. This is what I say, giving up on people. They were in love and they were vulnerable and they didn't want to give up. But yes, like truly, I think like when I talk to someone who have ended up in situations like that, if they look back at that, they wish they would have gave up and chose themselves sooner. So yeah, that's the word for today. I love that message. It speaks to me. I'm living by it. And once again, like I said, I'm not just this heartless person who's never felt in love, never had a hard decision, never found it difficult to. Of course I have. This is not, oh, giving up because he did one thing I didn't like. Or he or she giving up because there's this one thing I don't like. Nobody's gonna be perfect. It's about the response, it's about the progression. And sometimes it's even not. If there's something where it's just like, I really don't like that, and I'm not even interested in a conversation of fixing it because you can't take back what you saw or what you said, then so be it. Free will, ladies. Free will. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for listening to another episode on this channel. As always, I hope I said something that spoke to you, that made sense, that you could take away from this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you can relate to this, if you're thinking about applying to this, because I love talking to y'all. Please, please, please check out my other socials linked down below if you're interested in seeing this face more than once a week. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.